Welcome to Catalyze Coach Training, online module number 2. In this module, we will look at coaching models. Coaching models provide the coach with a mental pathway for the coaching relationship and/or the individual coaching session. Each model has significant strengths that make it unique, as well as limitations that coaches do not want to overlook. Different coaching models will take different perspectives on the coaching relationship and coaching session. For example, some models emphasize accomplishing objectives, while others emphasize spiritual discernment. Skillful coaches become proficient in multiple models and can draw from them as needed. Let's look at some coaching models. In this online module, we will focus on 5 unique coaching models. The GROW model, which is perhaps the oldest of all coaching models. The COACH model, used widely with missionaries, church planters, and nonprofit organizations. The DRAWN model, not widely known, but a model that offers Christian coaches a unique and important perspective. The 4D FLOW model, a model birthed out of the changing values and orientations of younger Christian leaders. And lastly, the 5R model, the oldest coaching model used among Christian ministries. We'll start with the GROW. The GROW model was developed in the corporate world by John Whitmore, a business owner with business experience in the UK, Europe, and the United States. The GROW model was introduced in the first edition of Whitmore's book, Coaching for Performance, in 1992. The GROW model is perhaps the most familiar and most widely used coaching model. It has become the source for many other coaching models. Let's take a look at Whitmore's GROW model. The first step is goal. At the beginning of the coaching conversation, the coach is reminded to help the coachee identify and articulate the specific goal on which they want to focus throughout the session. This helps the session start off in the right direction and maintain focus throughout the coaching session. The next step is reality. Once the goal of the session is clearly determined, the coach helps the coachee clarify the situation surrounding the goal. During the reality step, the coach remains detached from the specifics of the situation to help the coachee develop his or her own awareness of their situation. Once the coachee develops a deep awareness of their situation, he or she is ready to move on to options. The purpose of the options step is to generate as many possible alternative courses of action as the coachee can. Quantity is more important than quality. Once the coachee has generated a maximum number of options, the coach begins helping him or her begin to sort the options into priorities and categories. This leads to the last step of the GROW model, what? The what step simply asks the coachee, what will you do? Alternatively, this stage may be called will, since the coach is asking the coachee to articulate their will to act. Additionally, the word what may be replaced with who or when to customize it for the specific coaching topic. The next model we will consider is the COACH. The COACH model was developed by Keith Webb of Creative Results Management. Keith started as a missionary to Indonesia and Japan before transitioning into coaching. Today, Keith specializes in coaching leaders of denominations, nonprofits, and business leaders, especially in Asia. However, Creative Results Management coaches many church planters and pastors, lay leaders, and others throughout the United States and around the world. The COACH model is rooted in an understanding of how people grow and learn, what Keith calls the action-reflection cycle. It creates a flexible conversation guide for the coach. The strength of the COACH model is that it helps the coach focus on the structure of the conversation and not the content. Let's look at the COACH model. The COACH model starts off with connect. Connect is all about relationship. It's where each coaching session conversation starts. This helps the coach and the coachee update one another on events and changes since the last session. It is informal and friendly. Remembering to connect helps task-oriented coaches pay attention to the relational needs of coaches and not immediately begin with the task of coaching. The next step is outcome. Clearly understanding the coachee's desired outcome of the coaching session helps the coach and coachee work together toward a successful coaching session. It also helps both coach and coachee know when the session has accomplished its purpose. Next, awareness. Increasing awareness about their situation is critical for the coachee to grow and achieve. The awareness step helps the coach ask questions that facilitate discovery beyond what the coachee already has. Once the coachee has heightened his or her awareness of the situation, they are ready to begin developing their course of action. The course step reminds the coach to help the coachee move toward narrowing their options for action and eventually selecting what they will do to move forward toward success. Last in the coaching model is the highlight step. The highlight step helps the coachee solidify his or her decisions, commitments, and learning achieved throughout the coaching session by asking him or her to review and summarize their learning and commitments to action. All right, let's move to the drawn model. The drawn model was developed as a collaboration between Kent Smith of Abilene Christian University and Tom Weimar of the Foursquare Church, as well as others. The model recognizes God's work in the coaching session. This model merges the practice of coaching with spiritual direction insofar as it structures into the coaching session the expectation that God is present and influencing both coach and coachee throughout the session. It highlights the need to be spiritually present and attentive not only to the coachee but to the Holy Spirit as the real coach. It starts with D, meaning describing the desire. The session starts with the coach asking the coachee to describe the desired outcome of the session, or the outcome of the goal about which they would like coaching. The model then moves to reviewing their resources. At this stage, the coach invites the coachee to survey the options they have which could be applied to their desire. This is roughly similar to the reality stage in the grow model or the awareness stage in the coach model. The middle stage of the drawn model is to ask the Lord for guidance. This stage typically is done as a time of prayerful silence during which both coach and coachee are practicing spiritual listening, inviting the Holy Spirit to reveal to them insights, directions, or anything else that the Spirit has. After a period of silence, the coach invites the coachee to share whatever he or she may have heard from God. Once the coachee has shared whatever he or she chooses to share, the coach may share anything he or she has heard from God. This middle stage makes the drawn model a unique model among Christian coaching models, insofar as it is rooted in a belief that the Holy Spirit is active in each coaching session, to the point of offering insights, etc., to both coachee and coach. Of course, there are many Christians who would adopt a different view of the activity of the Holy Spirit and or the ability of humans to discern it. That said, the drawn model puts into practice the belief that God is active in our interactions and trusts that He will adequately reveal Himself if we but listen. The fourth stage of the drawn model is weigh the ways before you. This stage invites the coachee to sort and prioritize the options they see for moving toward their desire, as stated in the first stage. Once the options have been adequately considered, the coach asks the coachee to name the action they will take next. This is the fifth and final step in the drawn model. As you can see, the drawn model has elements similar to most other coaching models, yet offers a unique process by intentionally inviting God to shape the outcome of the coaching session. The next model we will look at is called the 4D flow model. The 4D flow was developed by Steve Ogney and Tim Reel. It is explained thoroughly in their book Transformational Coaching, which you will read as part of your Catalyze coach training. Because of that, we won't go into great detail here. Both Steve Ogney and Tim Reel are well-seasoned and experienced coaches who have been coaching Christian leaders for some time. Several years ago, they began to recognize that younger leaders did not share many of the values and motives common to older Christian leaders. They began to recognize a resistance to coaching as they had come to practice it. They developed the 4D flow model as a way to respond to the values and sensitivities of younger leaders. The 4Ds are 1. Discern, asking where is God working, discerning what is God already doing. The second stage the coach leads the coachee to is to discover, that is, to ask himself or herself, how do I participate in what God is already doing? Followed by develop. What are the next steps in moving into participation in what God is already doing? And lastly, depend. Whom do I need to help me move into what God is already doing? Like the drawn model, the 4D flow model overtly brings God into the coaching session. The model is called a flow model in that the coach must go with the flow. It relies on a more relational and intuitive form of coaching than models which emphasize productivity or achievement. This last model we will look at is considered by many to be the original coaching model in the world of Christian ministry. The 5R model was developed by Bob Logan, who founded CoachNet in 1999, making CoachNet the original Christian coaching organization. In conjunction with several others, including Steve Ogney, the originator of the 4D flow model, Bob developed the 5 R's as a way to guide coaches toward effective coaching as defined by an international research project Bob conducted with a team of professional coaches and Dr. Charles Ridley of Indiana University. Their research identified 9 coaching competencies necessary for a coach to be effective. Each of the 9 competencies was broken into micro skills. With this research and process, they began looking for a simple way to train coaches that would guide them toward fulfilling these competencies. So the 5 R's were born. The 5R coaching model is unique among the models presented here in that it is a model for the whole coaching relationship and not a single coaching session. Consequently, it would be extremely rare that all 5 stages of the model would be used in a single session. Let's look at the model. The 5 R's start with relate. Similar to connect in the coaching stage, the relate stage focuses on the coaching relationship. It develops the relational bond between coach and coachee. Next is the reflect stage. In this second stage, the coach focuses on the coachee's situation and helps the coachee gain a clearer understanding of their situation, including factors influencing and influenced by their situation. Following the reflect stage is the refocus stage. The refocus stage points the coachee to the future by drawing on the coachee's vision, values, and goals. At the end of the refocus stage, the coachee articulates actions to be taken and how the accountability will be structured. Once the coachee is committed to a plan of action, the coach helps the coachee survey appropriate resources the coachee will need to be successful and develop a plan to appropriate those resources. Finally, the coach leads the coachee through the process of reviewing their actions to identify points of success, frustration, and learning to be applied in the future. In addition, the review stage guides both coach and coachee to review the whole coaching relationship to identify changes that either the coach or the coachee could make to improve the effectiveness of the relationship. Well, that's it. Those are the 5 coaching models we will consider. While no coaching model is ideal for every coaching situation, the 5 models presented here each have unique strengths. Each one offers the coach a unique insight into the coaching relationship and coaching process. Coaches who develop understanding and proficiency with multiple models will ultimately serve their coachees best. So feel free to experiment with multiple models.